Hey friends, today is all about the yoga wheel. You see mine there on my mat. I know so many people that see these, they see the ads, they look intriguing, or they try one in a studio class and they're like, I love this thing, I'm gonna get it. And then they get it home and they're like, nah, I don't know what to do with this thing. I don't really know how to incorporate it into a flow. And it is hard. It's a big, sort of hard, awkward circle that's kind of hard to maneuver when you're doing yoga. So, this one's for you, Stephanie. I'm going to give you some ideas on what to do with your yoga wheel. Now, this is by no means the end all be all of things you can do with your yoga wheel. Yoga wheel. I'll get it, guys. So we're just gonna practice some things. It's great for balancing and getting some of that core action. It's great for just finding a bit of alignment and offering a bit of support. And of course, my favorite is just to roll around on it on my back. I have a really, really stiff spine. Back bending is not my thing. My upper spine is even like unusually straight. I can't remember why I had to have an x-ray in the last year or so, but the doctor was like, your spine is weird. It's it's too straight. I was like, well, no wonder I can't find these back bends. My spine is too straight. Nothing you can do about that. But the muscles get really tight in there, so it does feel really good to roll around on that ball before you're gonna come into any sort of back bend. So I'll show you how I like to roll around on it, how it can aid in fish pose and bridge and stuff like that. So if you have a wheel, then this video is for you. Go ahead and grab it and we're gonna hop back. If you don't have a wheel, you can still do most of what's happening here. You can still do most of what we're going to be doing. It's not gonna work. You can still do most of what we're going to be doing without the wheel. So it won't be as intense in most cases, but you can still do it. So go ahead and play along without your wheel, and maybe this will make you want to get one. I don't know what brand mine is. I can tell you when I get back there. But if you look up yoga wheel on Amazon, you'll find a bunch. So let's scoot back. And we're gonna start just by sitting on the wheel. So it's gonna come like this, and you're just gonna plop right down on it on a seat. Maybe I will turn towards you a little bit more. Now, bring your ankles right under your knees here. And just soften your face. Take a few deep breaths here. Well, let's say you don't have a yoga wheel. Maybe grab a little stool. The one your kids use to stand on to brush their teeth. Oh, that thing's probably nasty. And just using your core a bit here just to stay balanced, not to switch from side to side so much. Or maybe experiment a bit with going from side to side. And then notice how it feels just to really sort of settle into the middle. Press down into the feet some. Lift through your spine. And let's give ourselves some slow shoulder circles here. So pull your shoulders forward, up towards your ears, all the way back, and feel your shoulder blades slide back down your back. Pull forward again, shoulder blades spread out, pull up, and around. Really slow here, trying to find that full range of motion that you have, and then switch directions. And then bringing your fingertips to your shoulders. And find that same thing, but with the elbows. They're coming forward, up and around. Find that full range of motion. So slow is better here. Just notice how you're feeling in your body. Notice how your shoulders are feeling. And then reverse that direction. And then release the arms, just one at a time. Great big circles, trying to keep your hips pretty steady on the wheel here. And then reverse. And then release. Check in here, make sure that your ankles are still under your knees. You can rest your hands down by the side, or you can bring them out for a bit of balance. Really root down into that left foot and just lift the right one up a little bit. Breathe. And then release. Other side. I don't know why this side is so much harder for me, but it is. Grow really tall into your spine. And release. One more each side with just the knee, the foot rising up. Really strong core here. Pull it in strong, and you'll notice a big difference in your balance. Pull your belly button in towards your spine. And noticing when you're putting your feet down that they're coming back down under the knees. Mine keep trying to creep in closer to the wheel, which make everything a lot harder. And release. Now this time, we're going to inhale, the arms overhead, the right knee up. Exhale, arms out to the side, straighten that knee. Inhale overhead, and exhale, release. Inhale overhead, left knee up, a lot more to think about. Exhale, arms out to the side, straighten that knee. Inhale, bend the knee, arms overhead, and exhale, release everything down. And again, inhale. Straighten the knee, arms out to the side. Inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale, knee up, arms overhead. Exhale, straighten the knee, arms out to the side. Inhale, arms up, bend the knee. And exhale, release it back down. Here's the one that really throws me for a loop. As we inhale this time, arms overhead, lift that right knee. Now as we exhale, arms to the side, right knee out towards the right. Inhale, come back. And exhale, release. And again, inhale. Exhale, out to the side. Left side's harder for me. Inhale. And exhale, release. You guys are about to see me roll right off of this thing. Once more each side. Inhale, arms overhead. Right knee up. Exhale, arms to the side. Pull the knee out. Inhale, overhead. And exhale, release. Once more, left side. Exhale, knee out, arms wide. Inhale, back to the center. Exhale, release. Reposition the feet here. Maybe reposition your seat a little bit. Now we're going to reach back. Our palms are facing forward. Grab onto this back edge of the wheel. And then as you inhale, squeeze your shoulder blades together. Look up, stretch the front of your throat. And as you exhale, start to round your spine, tuck your chin, just sliding your hands down that wheel some, just down and around towards the sides. And as you inhale, slide them up again, lift the chest, look up, and exhale, round. Give yourself one more of those. Inhale. And exhale. Then rise up. Release the arms. Last bit here, seated on this wheel. Make sure you're nice and even here. Inhale the right arm up. And exhale. Bend to the side. Inhale, back overhead. And exhale, release. Inhale, arm overhead. Exhale, bend. Inhale, back to the center. And exhale, release. Once more each side. Inhale. Boys, go this way. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, overhead. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, release. Now coming off of your wheel and bring it to the center of your mat. So it's facing front to back, right here in the center. And then find your downward facing dog over the wheel. Go ahead and walk in your down dog, bend one knee and then the other. Allow yourself to breathe as you settle in here. And on your next inhale, just roll yourself forward to plank. You may be needing to adjust your feet a bit here in your plank and making sure that you don't hang down onto this, but it's going to stop you if you do. And then exhale, lift your hips up and back to downward facing dog. And inhale, roll forward to plank. And exhale, downward facing dog. And a couple more of those. Inhale to plank. Exhale to down dog. Inhale to plank. Downward facing dog. Settle back into your down dog. And then bringing your right leg straight back. And then compressing that thigh close into the body. Round your spine, pull forward, bringing your shin on top of that wheel. And then sliding it back. When it reaches your knee, just leave it there and bring your leg straight back up. And then round again. Catch it. And then roll it forward. Strong core, as far as you can roll it. And then come back again. When it reaches your knee, stop. Lift that foot overhead. And exhale, catch it again. Inhale. And exhale. Give yourself 2 more. And the next time you have it pulled forward, leave it there, back in the center of the mat, and step back to your down dog. If it's rolled a bit on you, go ahead and adjust it. And bring that left leg back. Pulling the knee in close to the chest, finding your shin or even your ankle on that wheel. Roll it back, and then lift the leg straight back up to three-legged down dog. Catching it again, rolling it forward just as far as you can manage it. And then coming back again on your inhale, lifting up. And exhale, compress in, roll it forward. Keep going with this, a few more breaths. One more. This time we're going to roll it back between the feet. Leave it there and find downward facing dog. Let's give ourselves a little twist here. So reach the right arm over towards the left. Hold outside that calf, look under that arm. And then switch sides. Back to downward facing dog. Now rolling back forward to plank here. We have this wheel kind of between the legs. So roll it back with your right foot. We're going to tuck the right toes onto that wheel and rise up in a plank. And then we're going to lift this back leg for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. And then switch sides. Finding the left toes tucked under that wheel. Find yourself nice and steady. And then floating that right leg up. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And release. And just roll the wheel forward. Hold on to both sides of the wheel. And come down to child's pose. Just adjust your hands on the wheel wherever it feels nice to get the kind of shoulder stretch that you want. Keep letting your chest sink down towards the mat. And then release. Come back to all fours. Lots of traffic here today. Hush. Hush. Away. 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 Sorry. Bring the right foot forward. Finding low lunge, Johnny away. Now, in your low lunge, we're going to work this wheel underneath that front leg. So just find it placed so that it's supporting you. This ankle is still more or less under this back knee. And just settle in here, take a few breaths. You still really want to be able to press down into that back foot. And then long spine here. Bring the fingertips onto the floor. Back toes are untucked. Glue that top of the foot to the floor. Keep squeezing onto this wheel with that front leg as you float that back knee up. You don't need to straighten your knee all the way here. Just really find that stretch in the groin. Maybe reaching back with those left toes towards the back of the mat. Now, even if your knee won't float up here, just reach the toes back. You'll still find that stretch. And then slowly release the knee. Bring the hands back onto the thigh. Being careful here, the wheel helps here so that we don't really rise up with that back leg. The wheel's helping us to sort of stay in place. Either interlacing the fingers in back or I have tight shoulders, so I'm just going to hook my thumbs. And then reaching back down that back thigh, lift your chest. Imagine a rope on the front of your chest pulling up towards the ceiling. Breathe. Keep squeezing onto that wheel. And on your next exhale, release. Bring the hands back down. Pressing into the top of that back foot again, and just floating up the knee. Reaching back with those toes. Breathe. Keep your spine really long here. Hush. Hey, here. Sit down. Sit. Release that knee. And then rise back up. This time, we're going to bring this right arm just inside that right knee. Palm is facing outside. We're going to give that knee just a little bit of pressure, and we're going to twist back and look back. Keep squeezing onto that wheel with that front leg. Both hands down, and we're going to walk towards the outside of the mat here. Keeping your spine long. We're going to tuck those back toes under, lift that knee. So we're rising up some here, rising off of that wheel a little bit. And we're going to find ourselves in a side lunge. Now what this wheel is going to do is stop us from going too low. So again, bring that hand there that's keeping our knee in place. And I'm not even coming all the way down, but it's going to keep me, there I'm just touching down now, it's going to keep me from going too low. Just a couple of breaths here. Then release the hands back down. Turn the toes again, come back to your low lunge. Just to switch sides here. Maybe stopping for a second, all fours. Just notice how you feel different from side to side. Maybe let the hips sway side to side a little bit. Notice how different you feel from right to left. And then find the other side. So bringing that left foot forward, finding yourself in your low lunge here, and just finding that wheel underneath that left leg. Placing it so that your ankle and knee are still pretty much your shin is perpendicular to the floor, ankles under the knee. And you can kind of give that wheel a bit of a squeeze with the leg. You're really getting some extra work there with this resistant squeezing. So just stay here for a couple of breaths as you settle into your low lunge. Still really pressing down with that front big toe. And then releasing your fingertips down. Really pressing into the top of that foot. Toes are untucked. And then either just reaching back hard with those toes, or maybe even floating that knee up. Don't attempt to straighten all the way here. Just float it up. Maybe still reaching back with those toes. Really finding a strong stretch in the groin here. And slowly release it down. Rise up. And either interlacing your fingers or just hooking your thumbs, maybe hooking opposite direction this time. And then start to hinge back, reach back with the arms. Lift the chest here. So you're thinking more about lengthening in this upper spine and finding lift, more than finding a deep back bend with the low back. Just breathe here, keep squeezing that wheel. On your next exhale, release. Bring the hands back down. We're going to float that back knee up one more time. That's such a lovely stretch. So just breathe here. And release that knee. This time rising up. We're going to bring that left arm just inside that knee. We're nudging it just a little bit. Keep squeezing that wheel. And we're going to twist back. Look back behind you. Just keep looking back at that wrist. If that's too much on your neck, then just keep looking right in front. Untwisting both hands inside that left leg. Now walking to the side, walking to the outside of the mat. We're going to tuck these back toes under, turn that foot a little bit, and rise all the way up here in a side lunge. I know the legs are super tired here, just a few breaths. And you can see I'm not even touching down to that block, but it's going to keep me from going too far into my hips here. Breathe. Try not to rest on this leg, but to just give it a little bit of pressure back. Breathe. And on your next exhale, release. Bringing that block out. Let's rest it back to child's pose. Whatever you have to do to not let your wheel roll away here. In child's pose, maybe let hips sway side to side a couple of times. If you want that extra bit on your shoulders again, then just come back to the wheel. It's completely optional. And then release, just bringing that wheel back towards you. Now my favorite thing to do with the wheel here is just to roll around on it. Just bring it right down your spine. Just keep it right here in the center. And then start leaning back, and it's however feels good here. So usually it feels really good for me to find it on my upper back. But roll around and see what feels good for you. Sometimes I bring it all the way down to the low back and just sort of hang off the back. But imagine yourself able to sort of melt over it. And just give yourself a few minutes to play here. Really allowing your back muscles to relax. Slow exhales. Often if I just want to find some back bends, I'll just roll around on this for a few minutes. For my super stiff back, a few minutes is more like 20 minutes before I start any sort of back bending practice. Now, a good way to work on fish pose is with the wheel. Fish pose traditionally without the wheel is coming up onto the elbows and then releasing the head back. So you have this bend here in the back. If you don't have a huge bend there like me, then the wheel can be really helpful. And just sort of finding some openness there. So maybe bringing that wheel right there in your low back. I have to allow myself to sort of curve over it. And then release the head back. So this is essentially a fish pose. You can do whatever feels good with the arms. Let them drop to the sides, have a bit of a shoulder opener. You can find eagle arms, maybe reaching them back towards the floor. And then maybe straightening the legs here. Keep that curve in the back. And find eagle arms, opposite arms, and then reach them back towards the floor. Whenever you're ready, slowly, slowly, slowly rolling off. And let's just set the wheel aside. Roll back. Bring your knees in. rocking side to side here. And then bringing your wheel behind. Hopefully it won't roll off. Now, I don't usually teach shoulder stand or plow in my classes because of the flexion it puts on the neck. But if you want to use the wheel as a tool and not going too deep in plow, then that can be really helpful. So you bring the legs up, start to lift the hips, and just find your wheel with the tops of your toes. Roll the shoulders under, support your low back if that feels good. And then this is a better place for most of our necks. I still have a lot of length in my neck. There's no pressure. So that wheel can just help prop you up a bit here. And you can play with lifting one leg and then the other. Nice and slow and controlled. Maybe give yourself a couple each side. And slowly, 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 one vertebrae at a time, release out. And let the feet drop down, let the knees fall wide. And just let your back sort of fall into a natural back bend here. Don't force anything, just let it do what it's going to do. Go ahead and let the eyes close down. Relax your face. And if you're comfortable, then stay right there for your Savasana. If you'd rather, go ahead and bring your legs down flat again. Continue to let everything relax. I'm going to read you something written, I believe, in the 1800s by Kitty O'Meara, but it really, really is relevant now. And the people stayed home and read books and listened and rested and exercised and made art and played games and learned new ways of being and were still and listened more deeply. Some meditated, some prayed, some danced, some met their shadows, and the people began to think differently, and the people healed. And in the absence of people living in ignorant, dangerous, mindless, and heartless ways, the earth began to heal. And when the danger passed and the people joined together again, They grieved their losses and made new choices and dreamed new images and created new ways to live and heal the earth fully as they had been healed. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. Namaste.